What's up, crowd community, and welcome to another amazing episode here on Crown Gambit. My name is Efrain, I'm your host, and today we're actually going to be doing the Moon Knight breakdown trailer. We're going to be doing a reaction to it by new Rockstars, which has about almost 1.8 million views. So this was actually recommended by one of the viewers in our comment section, which led us to think, you know what, let's go ahead and do it. So thank you so much for that comment, we greatly appreciate it. And also I want to let you guys know to stay tuned and look out for our live reviews that we're going to be doing for each episode of Moon Knight. So it looks like this is going to be very good. It's about 18 minutes and 44 seconds long, so I'm sure they're going to be explaining and breaking down the characters, so we'll definitely be able to learn. I myself not too well versed in Moon Knight. I remember when I was a child, I was reading some of the comics, but I never got to read the comics of Moon Knight. I know Aubrey Freely has, so he's going to be letting me borrow the comic book so I can, you know, read upon it and kind of get to know the characters a little better, so that way when we watch the actual show, I'll be a little bit more well versed in the show and the characters and see exactly how Disney Plus and Marvel Studios make this, you know, build this and, you know, this character and bring this character to life. So all I know, as far as my understanding, the only thing I do know are some of the actors that come out. You know, I do know it's set for March 30th, 2022. I know that Oscar Isaac plays as Moon Knight. Also know him, he comes out in Apocalypse and X-Men, comes out in Star Wars as Poe Dameron, and also he comes out as the voice as Gomez Addams from the Addams Family. I like all the work that he does, so I'm very interested in seeing how he plays Moon Knight. I also do know some of the other actors like Ethan Hawke, who plays as Arthur Harrow, who's supposed to be one of the villains. But I'm very excited and very interested in wanting to get to know some of these characters better. Also, we have Gaspard Ulliel, who plays as Anton Mogart, who is also said to be another villain, or I believe it's Moon Knight's nemesis. Not very sure. If I got that wrong, then there's the comment section below. Let me know. I'm very interested in wanting to get these characters down and also see what else and how it's tied down to the Marvel Universe. There's other actors in there that come out. We have May Calamaway, who plays as Layla, Lucy Thakari, who plays as Donna, and Loic Mambaza, who plays as Bushman. So that's all I really know about the actual show. So I'm looking forward to this because I want to be able to see exactly what is it they're going to talk about. Yeah, let's go ahead and dig right into it. But before we do, I want to go ahead and give a special shout out to Jason Beltran and also to Invincible, who's actually been sticking around in our Patreon page. Let's go ahead and dig right into this, shall we?
Night coming to Disney Plus March 30th with Oscar Isaac playing Stephen Grant, aka Mark
there
Spector, aka Jake Lockley, aka Vigilante empowered with the magic of an Egyptian moon deity, aka Egyptian mutant and Sabanur. Oh wait, no, Oscar Isaac was Apocalypse in another Marvel universe, and the X-Men won't get sucked into the MCU until Multiverse Madness, when Oscar Isaac being Moon Knight in this reality will be like the 12th most confusing thing about that. But this trailer was filled with mystery and tricky visual glitches in this character's broken perception. So
incredible.
I'm gonna go through this frame by frame to break down all the really cool stuff that you
like the way that they did the special effects on him.
This video, more on them later. Let's get started.
He looks like really dope.
Hello and welcome to Staying Awake.
I have a sleeping disorder. I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
So the trailer opens with Oscar Isaac as one of his identities lying in bed using an app that helps one stay awake because he doesn't want one of his other identities to take over. He twists a Rubik's Cube at first with just one hand, as if this is a kind of coordination one identity might have that another might lack. Later we see the side that he is closest to completing is the white side, white being the color of Moon Knight's wardrobe, which in 2006 Moon Knight comics from Charlie Houston explained,
a good eye right there.
Myself, I wear it so they see me coming. So they'll know who it is. Because when they see white, it doesn't matter how good of a target I am. Their hands shake so bad they couldn't hit the moon. I just love that quote so much. It's part of the reason the character is so great. I had to share it with you. Also, the toggling colors of a Rubik's Cube, of course, reflect the toggling of this man's identities. He suffers from a form of dissociative identity disorder. The voice we hear right now is that of his Stephen Grant identity, with Oscar Isaac speaking in a British accent. But on the word dreams, the accent seems to switch to a different consonant pronunciation.
Between my waking life and dreams.
As if another identity is taking over mid-sentence. In the comics, Moon Knight's primary identity is Mark Spector, the son of a rabbi turned mercenary who ends up possessed by the Egyptian moon deity of Khonshu, becoming the vigilante known as Moon Knight, with powers linked with the lunar cycle. And he takes on other alter egos like wealthy one-percenter Stephen Grant and taxi driver Lake Lockley. But obviously they're switching some things around.
So he switches up
he bolts several locks on his door. He puts tape on the cracks so that he'll know if the seal is broken, chaining his ankle to a lock that only one of his identities would know the combination to. The fact that he expects this other identity to not know how to just peel tape off of a door and put it back on tells us that the form he is worried about turning into is a more monstrous one. So we're looking at a real werewolf Jekyll and Hyde scenario here. Stephen turns in his bed, reflected in mirror glass that refracts him into 3 forms in total, perhaps a way of showing his 2 other identities, and yet he still twists around in fear as if he's looking at a 4th identity, maybe that of Moon Knight, as it creeps in on him. Let's move on.
Supposed to be 4 characters? That's insane. Oh, what? That's crazy. Yeah, I saw that. It came out. He was tying himself.
Okay, here that app service voice echoes over itself as if this is something he has used for countless nights. And then he bolts awake like from a nightmare. But notice how he is now wearing different clothes than before. So
he was different.
Or if another identity took over overnight and just changed his clothes and calmly locked himself back up. And as he stumbles out of bed, he steps in a ring of sand, which he likely spread out to track any entity going out or going in. Kind of like when that couple in Paranormal Activity used flour to track that demon. You'll notice among his stack of books is Adventures of the Soul, Journeys Through the Physical and Spiritual Dimensions. This is a real-life 2014 book by medium James Van Praagh about the human soul, how it fits into this life, how it travels into the spirit realm. So clearly Stephen is doing some research on metaphysics to try to understand his condition and how his soul is becoming detached from his physical body. Now the music throughout this trailer is Kid Cudi's Day and Night, a song that Kid Cudi said that he wrote to deal with his sleeplessness after his uncle passed away, an uncle that he ended things on bad terms with. And the song Day and Night, Nightmare, is his version of the Ghetto Boys' Mind Playing Tricks on Me. The music video shows him slipping in and out of reality the way Stephen / Mark / Jake never fully know.
That's a good track to put for Moon Knight.
Next clip.
Shows his different personalities.
I think I'm losing it.
We'll catch you.
Oh, that's very smart for them to do that.
Steven.
It's Steven. Oh, see, now he knows
Steven
who.
runs to catch
He's
this
Steven, and who knows all these other
this
characters.
Connects to the shot we saw in the November teaser where his hands hit that bus, except now his hands are covered in these fancy white gloves. He could be finding himself in a new identity as he briefly passed out for a second. Could be the dressier version of that white suit that we've seen in the comics. He works at this museum. Up top it reads National Art Gallery, an art gallery with a historical exhibit for ancient Egypt, it looks like.
Oh,
now,
yeah, of course, so that's how he gets his powers, from the ancient
the National Gallery of London has
Egyptians.
a different architecture. I actually thought this was the British Museum, but if you look at the architecture of the British Museum, that is a completely different building than this. I did some digging. This is actually Budapest's Museum of Fine Art.
Just like Budapest all over again.
You and I remember Budapest very differently.
They use CGI to swap out that Hungarian for English. We should also be clear, this is not the same museum as the Museum of Natural History,
crazy
where
what CGI can do.
Whitman work in Eternals, but both of these museums are in the city of London in the MCU. And I think that Eternals post-credit scene of Dane finding the ebony blade of his family, taking one step closer to becoming the Black Knight, and meeting Blade Mahershala Ali could set up those two to join Moon Knight in the future as part of an MCU Midnight Suns lineup. Now, whereas comic Stephen Grant is a millionaire, this Stephen works at the museum gift shop under this flirty boss Donna. I like how he corrects her calling him Stevie by putting on his name tag. Just another example of him having to constantly reassure himself of his identity. And in this gift shop, of course, are surrounded by Egyptian iconography. A figurine of a scarab, a Bast statue, and these puzzles. One for the Cornet Marais, that's a necropolis in Luxor, and then another for the Book of the Dead. Oh, yes, 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 yes. The Egyptian Book of the Dead was a funeral text text written by priests over 1,000 years. It contained magic spells in order to assist a dead person's journey through the underworld. Now that's real world history, but elsewhere in the MCU, we got another Book of the Dead called The Darkhold, which is becoming hugely important. Seen with Agatha Harkness and WandaVision,
Agatha from WandaVision,
seek the multiverse for her children, and now showing up in the trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, used by Doctor Strange,
Madness. Ooh, so all this is tying down.
Now in the comics, the Darkhold was drafted by a demon named Chthon, who in comics canon initially gave Wanda Maximoff her sorcery, but in the MCU, these two Books of the Dead could come from the same textual history. We'll see. Moving on.
I can't tell the difference between life and dreams.
So now you're starting to see that character coming in.
Thank you.
Which is his other personality.
What's the contact lens?
Hope you find it.
Thanks.
So here in his flat, Steven hears voices and then looks over in his bathroom mirror, and his reflection flashes very briefly into his fully suited up Moon Knight form, complete with glowing eyes, and behind him you'll notice the
that costume looks awesome, man.
Through that fog. I just like how when this spectral form appears, the moon shows up with him. This awesome flickering light horror imagery also shows up in the far end of this hallway leading to the elevator, where we see our first clear shot of Khonshu, and he looks terrifying. Huge bird skull floating off the shoulders with cobwebs dangling down, a ratty cape, mummified arms, and he holds a staff with a crescent moon on the top. We actually caught what I think was our first glimpse of Khonshu back in the first teaser, that monstrous shadow lurking behind Steven on the museum floor as he stifled his screams. But here, Khonshu limps down the corridor toward him, his linen wraps dragging behind him, and he grabs that elevator door with that mummified hand before turning into a sweet old woman. Don't trust her, Steven. Steven. Yes, and this clue hunting and
damn, that's crazy. That's a lot of details. Now I see.
Because I have upgraded my snack game.
This is a very well-known
snacks. Boxu is
trailer
a
breakdown. Then new Rockstars doing very good work.
Straight from Japan to your door. Each themed monthly Boxu takes you on a gourmet journey through Japan. Boxu partners with 100-year-old snack makers to make their original treats and support family businesses. Now, the first Boxu you get is called Seasons of Japan, and it lets you taste the seasonal flavors popular in Japan. Every month after that, you'll receive a different themed box like this one. This month's Boxu is Pink Valentine. See, each Boxu comes with a booklet that tells you about the cultural theme and shares where all the snacks come from. So you got this good stuff comes from Hokkaido, etc., etc. I'm gonna try this one. Oh, it's a yummy looking little chocolate. Oh, this is so good. It's nice and wavery. Got some layers of cream in there.
Wow, I want to definitely try that now.
Snacks that are all in one. Oh, I feel like the world's Valentine. I mean, I gotta be honest with you guys. This whole box design is really, really cute. It would make a really nice Valentine's Day gift. So if you want to get some awesome Japanese snacks for yourself, maybe that special someone in your life, click the link in the description and use our code Rockstars to get 10% off your subscription. Next clip.
Still going with the track. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you're alive. What's wrong with you, Mark?
Mark, so now he's Mark?
Okay, once again, we see that great shot from the teaser showing Steve.
That's another character? Wow, he has multiple characters.
Forward, but his reflections do not follow. Even those two reflections between the two of them seem to have slightly different reaction speeds from each other. I think all three of these embody Steven's split identities. Now, the statue in that display case depicts the sun god of Ra on the far left. He has a falcon head. And then on the far right, Anubis, who has a jackal head, both of them appearing to mummify Osiris, the deity most associated with the process of mummification. Really, the weirdest things, though, about the shot are in the foreground. First, that crocodile, perhaps a Nile crocodile that you often see in these exhibits, could also connect to that crocodile on the unknown collar screen on the flip phone. Both could be
that's what I was trying to figure out.
Crocodile-headed goddess of the underworld. But also, beneath that croc, there appears to be mummified human remains on the freaking floor. And notice how Steven holds his arm as if he has been wounded or bitten. Maybe this guy was doing a bit of grave robbery, tampering with these remains, taking something off of them, and Khonshu's spirit jumped out and bit him. But notice as he steps forward, the shadow that stood behind him before he steps out of frame, after he passes that shadow, it is no longer there. Creepy. Now, Kid Cudi's lyrics of "hold the phone" repeat, as if the record is skipping, until Steven finally uncovers this crawl space containing this key and this flip phone, probably a phone that he heard ringing in the walls and thought he was paranoid, but it actually is a real phone and a key belonging to his other identity, Mark Spector. So the character we've been staying with this whole trailer is not really the main character of the story. We haven't really met Mark yet, which is why I love this trailer so much. I actually hope the next trailer spends most of the time with Mark, who is a badass mercenary who somehow ended up as this pencil-pushing loser in
so
London.
Mark is supposed
How
to be
long has he really been
a
this
mercenary?
way?
Wow, so all these different characters have different, well, they're like, I guess, different completely, like personalities.
Back in Egypt. And the reason he is working at this museum is to try to reconnect with that spirit. Now, the caller on this phone is the voice of actress May Kalamali, whom you may know as Rami's sister Dina on Rami on Hulu. And the closed caption identify her character name as Layla. Now, the most famous Layla from Marvel Comics is Layla Miller, aka the mutant butterfly, who has the power of resurrecting the dead at the cost of their soul. She actually makes her debut in the House of M event that we speculate Multiverse of Madness to be partly adapting. And Layla Miller is actually crucial to bringing down the House of M because she uses her power to restore the memories of superheroes, and she helps restore the reality. Doctor Strange even suggests that Wanda Maximoff might have created Layla as a failsafe to help the heroes in case something went wrong. Sure, this could just be
wow, so Wanda
Layla,
actually
Kalamali is such a great actress.
made Layla really cool just for that particular reason, to help them out.
MCU House of M event. So let's move on.
That must be very difficult.
That's crazy, and that's supposed to be Ethan Hawke.
There's chaos in you.
Yeah, he's just switching personalities from left to right. Yeah, this is gonna be a really good show based on what I'm seeing now.
Ethan Hawke's character, a cult leader that Hawke said he based on David Koresh, leader of the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. But the closed captioning identifies him as Arthur Harrow, who's a pretty deep cut from the Moon Knight comics, who only shows up in one issue, a storyline in 1985, where Dr. Arthur Harrow was a mad scientist with a facial disfigurement who works on a way to numb the pain centers of the human body, conducting some human experiments, basing his work on Nazi experiments. Now, Ethan Hawke's version of the character seems quite different, but maybe his motive is the same. He could be a spiritual leader promising people who suffer pain to numb their pain centers. And I'm guessing all these people kneeling to him in Germany, Loki style, that this guy's got the goods. He has some kind of power. Now, this town square does have German signs and a cupcake delivery truck that a major sequence later takes place upon. Those colorful buildings could actually be seen in the background of the November teaser shot where Mark comes to after beating up a bunch of guards. And now, surrounding Harrow are some armed guards that might be part of his cult, that suggests his cult is a militarized one. These guys wear matching jean vests and layers underneath those vests that match the color that Harrow wears. Now, in the Moon Knight comics, many of Moon Knight's foes had Nazi links since the character's Jewish upbringing was a big part of his conflicts. Maybe Harrow in this show is also rooted in those Nazi experiments, and this cult could be on some old Nazi compound in Bavaria. Harrow tells Steven, "There's chaos in you," suggesting he does have some perceptive abilities and can see the demonic possession inside of Steven. And yeah, this is happening in that museum. Could it be by happenstance that they met? Or was Harrow seeking the same thing that Mark Spector, kissed by this demon, is also unconsciously seeking? Then another shot of Steven flipping out while someone talks to him in the foreground.
Arthur was, I guess, trying to get the same powers. He was trying to be the Moon Knight or get the powers of the Moon Knight.
The other two identities have to hang out.
I wonder what it is. I can't wait to actually get into it and see and read the actual comic book as well.
Road, and Stephen Mark Jake comes to, shocked at the gun in his hand.
Yeah, see, so that's how you know he changed personality there. Just the way that he portrays that character, he switches off. That's very good and very hard to do, just so you guys know it's not easy to be able to switch personality to personality. Only real good actors are able to pull that off.
But I am sorry to disappoint you. It is just the name of the cupcake distributor, which you can see on other boxes in the back. It looks like Von Derelman. But also in the back, that dude's face looks gnarly. Either a cupcake might have smeared on his face, or he's bleeding heavily from the head, or maybe both. It's just super violent to see this guy who might have been shot in the head about to roll out the back of the car under these two pursuing cars. You'll notice they're driven by guys wearing the same kind of outfit he is. So I guess Steven beat them all up, trying to get to Harrow, and now they're chasing him down. And I guess this will lead to Steven completely falling off a cliff, though presumably
very informative. I definitely like that a lot.
On to the next
so let's
clip.
go ahead and get this ad here.
Embrace the chaos.
So embrace the chaos, so that's how he becomes Moon Knight. And he just accepts the power that's given to him. Oh, that
Okay,
costume
we
just
see
looks
the
awesome.
Great Pyramids of Egypt, and then I'm guessing this is Mark Spector inside of a temple or a tomb. I think this could be part of a buried and semi-forgotten backstory when Mark Spector was still in that identity that Stephen Grant does not remember as his Stephen Grant identity, working as a loser in this museum gift shop. It's going to be in this museum where he reconnects with Khonshu that awakens Stephen Grant to remember that he had this whole past as a mercenary and an Indiana Jones type badass. So he thought his whole life he's been a loser, but through his dissociative identity disorder, he's gonna remember how much of a killer he actually is. I love how as we see him fleeing down the
so it looks like his
form
it sounds to me like his powers, or I guess his different personalities were hidden, like Mark wasn't. It was
and
hidden.
Then another mirror shot of Stephen,
and it looks like he opened it up, so he kind of started realizing how he is.
I love this. You can see the linen wraps assemble over his shoulders, each tiny fiber piecing together. This looks like a bathroom that later appears busted as he beats up that creature. But we actually see a similar moment where this happens outside. It's just so cool to see how this works. Like the Moon Knight identity is mummifying his body to transport him into the land of the dead, but just for the night. And in this exterior shot, some shadowy figure is watching this
that's a trip. I did not see that.
But we end on this awesome shot. Now we did see Moon Knight pummeling something in the November teaser, but that shot was not finished. And now we see what they added in. He's beating up some supernatural creature with freakishly long legs, huge canine teeth, and pointy ears. Now, my first instinct goes to werewolf, because the MCU is soon going to introduce us to Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell, Gabriel Garcia Bernal, in an upcoming Halloween special, it sounds like. But I think a likelier option is this could be a jackal form.
Was a crazy
and as Moon Knight turns to camera, a few of those linen wraps stretched across his chest to hold the crescent moon sigil in place. I love how practical that all is. Actually, this shape looks like the crescent dart weapon that he uses, as we saw in that series poster that I love so much. Now, we are going to be covering Moon Knight weekly when it drops on March 30th, but until then, support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EABoss, follow New Rockstars, and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and wow, yeah, I somehow made it through this whole video without mentioning Mephisto. That was not easy.
Alright, you guys, so that wraps up the whole trailer breakdown. Now, that was very informative. I mean, wow, I got to know more of, you know, Oscar Isaac, all the characters, he's going to be portraying. You know, it looks like Mark is going to be the one that's like more of the killer instinct guy. So yeah, man, this is very interesting, man. That just seeing the kind of characters that's going to be you know, Oscar Isaac is going to be playing. That this just shows like the work that he does is astonishing. It's insane. I mean, playing as one character, that's cool and all, but when you could have to portray 3, 4, 5 different characters, so that kind of reminds me of like Eddie Murphy, how he plays in Nutty Professor, how he has different characters that he plays when he is at the dinner table. You know, that was pretty cool as well, having to see the different characters that he plays out. You know, it just shows you how good of an actor you must be to be able to pull that off. I also did see that the other characters like Ethan Hawke, how he plays as Arthur Harrow, I didn't really know much about him. Now I'm starting to kind of get to know the villains more, so I can't wait till Aubrey Freely brings me the comic books so I can actually read the comic books and start getting to know these characters more. I'm also going to be looking up a little bit more on different kind of comic books that you know, that he comes out in, and try to get to know more of the other characters as well as get to know Moon Knight. I really enjoy the visual effects, the sound effects. I mean, the way they put the trailer together, it has so much that was tied down to the you know, as far as the audio, you know, the track that they play day and night. It means, you know, having to see Kid Cudi having to make that track specifically just to play out different kind of personas that he plays. Oscar Isaac is going to be having the same amount of different personalities, different personas. You know, now I understand the trailer more as far as why he was tying himself down, because he didn't know who he was going to become. And it's crazy that I didn't catch it when he was wearing a white shirt and goes straight to green shirt. Now that, you know, they just show you that he changed to a different person, didn't even know that he changed to that person, you know. So it's just really cool to see that. The only one that I do remember also that's kind of like that kind of similar character would be in Doom Patrol. and we're talking about Crazy Jane, how she plays as Jane, plays as a doctor, she plays as the child. Like she has, you know, many different characters that she plays, and that's really incredible to be able to do that. The visual effects, man, it's amazing just watching. He turns into the Moon Knight. They said the fiber cloud just starts surrounding his whole body, and it just prisons him into this all in white. He looks dope. Like his little moon crest, it looks like he uses that moon crest as a weapon as well. I mean, I heard that Moon Knight was a pretty crazy character in the comics, so I can't wait to see that. I know for a fact Werewolf, if he does come out, like they were talking about, you know, him coming out, I know Werewolf was a crazy character, much more crazier than Punisher. So they're starting to bring these characters to life, bringing meaning to each character, so you guys get to see the expansion of the Marvel universe, and it just wasn't just like the Infinity Saga, but there's much more to that as well. That is actually our trailer breakdown reaction. I was very impressed by new Rockstar. Yeah, it was March 30th. That's the date that we're going to release the first episode. So look out for our reaction and our live review. By then, I'll have a lot more information on the characters and have a better understanding and, you know, express that information to you guys. I want to just thank you guys for having to stick around. If you guys like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Also, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, share this video with your friends and family. And I go ahead and give this rating. I actually gonna rate this trailer breakdown by new Rockstars. I'll give it a I would say a 9 out of 10, because they broke down into the very details of besides like the track. Why is the track that they playing? You know, what are the surrounding areas for each scene? And you know, that's there was a lot of knowledge that was given to us, and I'm gonna have to rewatch it a few more times to fully understand everything. But man, you guys, amazing work. So round of applause to you guys. But yeah, that wraps up our video. So thank you so much for watching, and catch us on the next one.